It's time for Real Estate 101 with the Karey Brown team from Realty Executives Preferred Advisors.
Good Sunday morning to you. This is Karey Brown, broker-owner of Realty Executives Preferred Advisors, and you're listening to Real Estate 101. Today, I am here with George Coe, and he is with Prellwitz Construction. I know we've had Mark on in the past, and so this time he says George is coming. So, George, let's talk about new construction.
Great. Good morning.
So, if you've been looking, you can't find what you're looking for, and you think, okay, I want to build a house. There are so many different options. Let's talk about the difference between a spec home and having custom.
Sure. Well, the main difference, obviously, is a spec home is a home that a builder has built, made all the choices for, constructed the home in hopes of selling it. A custom home, same process, except this time we're going to incorporate a buyer's wants, desires, design features, all the things that they specifically want in a house. So it may not, the process of building the house doesn't change much, but the way we go about choosing the components and the design is obviously much different.
So I know a lot of times they look on Pinterest and all that kind of stuff because, you know, Pinterest is cool and house.com is like an addiction for me along with Pinterest. Mm-hmm. And so they get in their mind all these different things, but then budget comes into play.
Sure.
What does the first meeting look like as far as saying, okay, budget, let's try and stay within that parameter? How do you do that with a buyer?
Okay. Well, we go through a small, kind of a small class on how to choose a builder, what's involved in building a home. And it doesn't necessarily mean it's just particular to Prellwitz Construction. We tell everyone up front, you need to choose a builder, first of all, that you're comfortable with. You want to go look at some of their homes. Hopefully you've gone through maybe some of their open homes or parade of homes or have friends that have bought homes. But you definitely want to see it. You don't want to just take the word that someone says, George and Mark built my house or Billy Bob built my house and it was wonderful. So you're going to want to see their product. And then you're going to want to find someone that you feel comfortable with because you're making a large investment. Obviously, you're going to be working hand in hand for 6 or 7 months with them. It's someone you have to be able to communicate with, that you trust, that you feel that they get you, they get your idea of what your house is. Because what we're trying to get is to bring all those pictures from House and Pinterest and HGTV and all the other resources available and put them in front of us so that when you talk about your new house, I can see what you're thinking of in your mind. When you talk about a kitchen, is it this big white kitchen? Is it a stained kitchen? Is it granite? Is it stone? What's going on? So all of those items brought together give us an idea for the style and kind of what you're envisioning. Then we get down to talking to dollars. Most home buyers don't come in and go, we don't have a budget, just do what we say. Everyone's got a budget.
Wouldn't that be cool?
It would be cool, I think. It might be out of control. I don't know. But it's never happened, and I don't think it probably will happen in my lifetime. So what we do is we start prioritizing items. What are the most important? What are the so-called sacred cows that we're not going to cut? If it's a special room or amenity in a room or a feature on the house, we need to know those so we don't exclude those. Then we start to work around the rest of them. There is probably the most common question that home builders get asked is, what does a house cost a square foot? And our answer is always, we don't know. I can give you approximates because we're custom home builders. We're not building the same type or style home every single time. But I can give you approximates. And so we start working through and start explaining how design of the plan alters price. Does it have a lot of inside and outside corners? Does it got a very complicated roof? Does it have large covered outdoor areas that aren't listed in the finished square footage, but may add as much per square foot or more than some of the interior spaces? So we talk about all those items, and we typically encourage folks not to buy a blueprint, not to go online or somewhere else. We almost 100% of the time help them to develop a print that is within their budget. So that's kind of where we start. The main thing we try to impress to someone who wants to build a new home is it should be fun. It doesn't have to be scary, but the more homework they can do up front, the better the process would be. So if they will help us on items such as allowance items. And an allowance item, when you build a home, the builder doesn't know exactly what kind of light fixtures or appliances or floor covering or those items that your tastes and wants influence the cost. So we turn to the home builder and try to emphasize to them, the more you'll help us with these numbers, the closer you make those to accurate, the less likely you are to go over on your total project. When you build a home, everyone's worried about cost overruns. If you do your homework up front, if you work on those allowance items and go make some choices so that the builder has adequate funds to buy the appliances you want or the cabinets and countertops you want or the flooring you want or light fixtures. Doing that work up front takes a little bit longer, but it takes a lot of the stress out of the procedure. And it really reduces the risks of you going over budget. So most of the time when our buyers go over budget, it is self-inflicted. They've seen something on HGTV or Pinterest or House, and they just have to have it, and so we do it. So that's how we kind of start, by trying to get people to be realistic about what they want, what they can spend. We do not give out any financial advice. We advise them to go to professionals for that, but we advise them to make a very very big attempt at going out and doing their homework and not just relying on the builders.
Let's talk about the difference between subdivision and rural. And first off, subdivision, you run into some of those and they have specific building requirements, like a certain size home on the main floor that has to be met. So, let's talk about what goes into the difference between subdivisions and rural development.
Okay. Some subdivisions have a homeowners association, which will probably mean you will incur a recurring fee monthly or annually to cover things like maybe mowing or snow removal or perhaps painting. Some subdivisions have minimum square footages on a home or minimum number of garage stalls. A list of amenities could change. Some require yard lights, small things. So when you're looking at buying land, again, I would if you're working with a realtor or on your own, I would suggest that you not purchase the lot before you talk to a builder. Let the builder come look at the lot, assuming he's familiar with what type of home you want to build, and make sure that there's nothing that jumps out at that builder that sees that could possibly be a problem or incur more costs later on. But beyond that, once we go out, we'll go out and look at it, make sure the grade's correct. We don't see water issues. Sometimes just by looking around a subdivision, you might see lots of big rocks sitting in a yard, and that might be an indicator there's stone in that subdivision. Typically, we know other builders that have built everywhere if we haven't, and we can ask them what they encountered. So that's the things to look for in a subdivision. When you're looking at rural land, and I'd say probably 75% of our buyers now come in looking for acreage. They want that little bit of seclusion. They don't want to be gentlemen ranchers or anything, but they don't want to live in a subdivision. When you're going to look at land to build a house in a rural setting, the first thing you need to be aware of is you're going to have some additional costs that you will not have in a subdivision. You're going to most likely put in a septic system that could be 12 to 20 grand. You're going to put in longer drives. You're going to have long utilities coming back to it. But what you have then is the ability to build a house that may not fit on a typical subdivision lot. But you are going to have additional expenses in building the house that you wouldn't have in the city. So you have to keep that in mind as well.
Let's talk about specials and how they also impact a budget, because you're looking at streets and sidewalks and all that good stuff, and obviously that takes away from your budget for your house. So let's go into a little bit more detail about that.
Sure. Specials are just a tax that were established to typically put in streets and sewers. Most of the subdivisions that go in Shawnee County have special assessments. It is a tax that is paid out annually with your other personal property tax, and they run for whatever the given period, 10 to 20 years. So when you're looking at your budget, you'll want, when you're out with your realtor looking for land and looking for a lot or acreage, you're going to want to find out. There won't be any specials on acreage, but you're going to want to find out what the specials are. That's easy to find out. And that's information that your lender's going to want to know as well, because they're going to know what the house costs and what your taxes and what your specials are going to cost. Eventually, sometimes you can find lots in some established subdivisions where the specials have now been paid off. I know there were a few up north last year we were able to buy for some customers, but typically most of the subdivision lots in Shawnee County are going to have a special assessment, which was a tax that helped the developer finance and pay for the streets and sewers.
Okay, best tips.
Best tips if you're out looking to build a house. We used to teach a class at the annual Home Builders Home Show each year, teaching or instructing potential buyers on how to choose a builder. So I'd say gleaning off of that, some of the things I suggest everyone do without exception is, one, do your homework. Be aware of what market prices are. If you've gone out and looked at homes that are for sale, comparable homes to what you think you're building, don't think that you will come find a builder that will build it for $75,000 less than you can buy a used home. A new home always costs more. So do your homework. Be informed of what new construction costs. There's usually an ample supply of it across the price ranges that you can go look at and see what it's truly going to cost. And that's a time when you have to be honest with yourself. Because when the builder tells you the price, he's going to be honest. We don't want it to be a shock. We want it to be kind of anticipated. So do your homework up front on what a new home costs. Obviously, if new homes were cheaper, everyone would sell their old house. We'd be building houses right and left. So it does cost more to drive a new car, to wear a new suit, to wear a new dress, to build a new house. But do your homework on it. Once you've got doing that, and people ask me all the time at the home show, can I build my house myself? Sure you can. I can do a lot of things myself too. I'm not sure you want to see the result of it. But in trying to attempt to do these things yourselves, you're taking the advantage you had away from the builder. That builder builds lots and lots and lots of projects, so obviously his pricing is much better. The average person couldn't go out and build a house for themselves and even begin to approach what we would charge, because we have subcontractors and suppliers that we buy millions from, and they give us the best pricing. And the second issue is then, how do you deal with warranty? If you're a one-time home buyer, that electrician, that plumber, that framer, concrete guy, they're never coming back. They're not going to do more work for you. With builders, that is their bread and butter. So they're going to continue to come back, service, do any warranty work, take care of any service issues. So I think you almost have to you'd be silly not to use a good professional home builder. You just won't save much money. Everyone thinks they got a brother that can do this or uncle that can do that. And as we both know, time is money, and the interest runs on that loan, and pretty soon you find out now the painter can't be there because you took 3 weeks extra to get ready for him, and he's scheduled to be somewhere else, and it just can snowball. So I would say find a builder or builders that you can work with. We have a client right now that's convinced she's going to get 5 different bids. That's silly. Find 1 or 2 builders that you really trust, you feel you like their work, you like what they say, they're attentive, they're responsive to your communications, and then have those 2 bid it. But don't go out and get a handful of builders, because invariably they'll bid it differently. You may or may not be savvy enough to interpret that when they hand you the paperwork to actually compare things. And the last thing that I harp on all the time, again, are allowances. I have people come all the time that have bids from someone else, and their overall bid is cheaper. So we start to dissect it. Well, let's just look at allowances. I can give you a small floor covering number up front or a small cabinet number, so my contract price looks great, but you and I are going to have a confrontation when it comes time to pick carpet, and you can't afford pad, or you have to have a vinyl floor in the basement, or some hideous things. So adequate allowances that will truly, honestly do cover the categories that they're for. I can't emphasize enough, you've got to go do your homework on it, because it's really the only variable. Most home builders are going to give you a guaranteed price. This house, per this blueprint, with these specifications and these allowances, will be this price. So if the only thing that is flexible are the allowances, the more work you can do on those to make sure that you have educated yourself and you have an ample allowance in there, or you have made the actual choices, and that becomes just part of the contract. I think I see allowances get people in trouble more than anything. We recently had a customer that thought the excavating allowance was way too high for a rural building site, and she found someone local that would that she thought would do it cheaper. Wasn't a guaranteed bid. They just thought they'd do it cheaper. And so they financed their home with this lower allowance for excavating, and sure enough, they went over by, $20,000, $30,000, significant amount. A lot of rock, a lot of issues on trees. They bought a very heavily wooded area to build in. So our allowance would have kept them in the right budget. Now they're over. So suddenly we just dig the basement and we're scrambling because you're over budget now. So allowances are incredibly important. They're not that tough to go and do your homework on. And I think they're critical to having a very happy and unstressful build job.
Absolutely. Thanks for joining us. We'll be back after a word from our sponsors.
Southwest Topeka has a good neighbor. State Farm agent Jim Garrison, now at 29th and Urish. If your current insurance situation has you going around in circles, get off the roundabout and stop in and meet Jim and his wonderfully efficient staff. Let Jim Garrison give you a quote and make the Garrison comparison. He's confident that with State Farm's competitive rates, the right coverage, and his unmatched service, you'll want to make him your new insurance agent. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there, and Jim Garrison is there for you, northeast of the roundabout at 29th and Urish.
This is Stephen Parkin at Invista Credit Union. Purchasing a home is one of the most exciting and important decisions someone can make. Let me tell you why Invista is the best choice for financing your new home purchase. First, quick pre-approval process. Our fast decision-making gives you the power to act quickly and make an offer on your dream home. Second, local servicing. We service your mortgage in-house. You won't get a long-distance runaround, but a committed professional whose only job is to help you. Third, experienced team. We are dedicated to simplifying the process and educating you through the home buying process. Come by Invista. It's okay to dream. In fact, it's encouraged. We are your home buying partner. Give us a call at 785-228-0149. Thanks
for joining us again. This is Karey Brown, broker-owner of Realty Executives Preferred Advisors, and you're listening to Real Estate 101. I'm back with George Coe of Prellwitz Construction. Thanks for joining me again, George.
Sure. Great to be here.
Let's talk about the quality of building a home. So I know that people look at it and they say, okay, well, I remember back whenever there was new construction and it cost $140,000, and why is it so expensive to do a custom? Let's talk about why that is different.
Well, nothing's getting cheaper to start with. So obviously, even if we were building the exact same house we were building 20 years ago, it would cost more just to the simple increase in costs. However, we're also not really building houses the same. We have code changes that impact the cost of the home. We build all homes to code, whether we are in the city limits or in the county. It's just simply a matter of liability, and it's just not worth not doing something in a code. But the changing code, the ever-changing code, the higher energy requirements have all added cost to homes. When you're out looking at homes, when you're walking around a finished home, it's easy to get caught up in looking at the things that show, but that doesn't always tell the whole story. Many times there's things that are hidden or obscured from your vision that greatly impact the price of the home and the way the home functions and the way the home lives. And an example is we use a spray-in foam in our exterior walls. We spray a 2x6 exterior wall full of foam, and then they run a power screed down the face of the studs, and it cuts it off flush so it doesn't push on the sheetrock. This creates a phenomenally airtight home. The R value is not much higher than normal insulation, but it greatly impacts how much air travels through your house, and that, of course, impacts how much your heating and cooling equipment runs. You can't see that in a house that's finished. Do they do sound insulation between bedrooms and bathrooms and laundry rooms and public areas? Do they use engineered floor joists instead of just a 2x10? So it's a flatter, quieter floor, the no squeak floor, everything adheres to it better. So there's a lot of items that can vary from builder to builder for what their norm is. Some builders build to specific price ranges. Some build in a specific subdivision. Some, like us, build everywhere and all kinds of price points. So there's a lot of things that you may not see at first glance as you walk through admiring the shiny light fixtures and the newly waxed floors and all the fancy stuff. Again, that's when it goes back to working with builders you trust. When we get done with our bid process, we will go through page item by item. It's a 6-page list of every item going in that house, what the doorknobs are, what brand they are, what color they are, what your sinks, faucets, flooring, roof, gutter, siding. Absolutely everything is called out so that you have no question what you're getting in that house.
Another tip that I would say is if you're building in a subdivision and you've got a builder and he's doing the work, stay within the same price range of those other homes.
Yes, absolutely.
We recently had one that we listed, and the couple had moved in from another state. They were not familiar with the area. Of course, that particular area was all new construction. And they upgraded so much so that they were literally $100,000 over any comp that had ever sold in that subdivision. Well, you know, even whenever they're appraised for them to close, there was still a significant gap in what the appraiser would allow for it. Mm-hmm. So it's important to also stay within that same, you know, range whenever you're building. Yeah, all those cool tricks from HGTV TV and all that stuff may be great, but if you can't get money back on it, how great was it whenever you go to sell it? You don't want to lose money when you sell your home. You should be gaining money.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And again, a good builder, part of their job is to watch for those types of things and say, hey, guys, I know you really want this, but it's really out of line budget-wise for this price range home. I want you to be aware of that. We actually had a local bank here call the office last week. We had a build job going where they had done a lot of upgrades inside, and the banker asked me, will it really change the value of the home? And I had to say, no, it won't. Light fixtures, if you spend $5,000 on light fixture or you spend $20,000 on light fixtures, it isn't going to make much difference in that price range home. So yes, always build to the value of the subdivision, and always be very aware of what the amenities of the properties around you are. I mean, you can do some upgrades, but just spending more money does not make your house worth more. A 4-bedroom, 4-bath house and a 2-car garage is only worth so much money, no matter how much you doll it up inside or out. So that's an excellent tip.
Tell me about Prellwitz Construction.
Prellwitz Construction. Mark Prellwitz founded Prellwitz Construction. I previously had Landmark Building Corporation. Mark and I have been dear close friends for many, many years and run around the world together and own projects together. The two of us together both have been building homes for over 30 years. Between the two of us, we've probably built, I couldn't even gather a guess, well over 1,000 custom homes. We primarily build in Shawnee and Douglas County. We do some work at Lake of the Ozarks. We do custom homes down there for some folks. We are a remodel and home build firm. We primarily do new construction home builders, but we do an awful lot of bath and kitchen and basement remodels, room additions, large decks, things like that as well. But our primary emphasis is new homes. We don't typically build spec homes anymore. We only build custom homes, although we have dozens and dozens of homes we can always get customers into to take a look at it. We offer our initial meetings with customers are free. We'll go look at land. If you're thinking about purchasing some land and you want a builder to look at it and give you an opinion, we do that all the time for folks. We sit down and look at plans. We're not looking to lock someone into us immediately. We're hoping that our experience and our expertise is what brought them to us to begin with. So we're pretty generous with our time up front. It's just a cost of doing business. We'll go out and look at things with folks and talk with them. We'll help them develop their blueprints. We have a phenomenally creative, talented woman who has drawn both of our prints for over 30-some years. I think she is just the absolute best in the Midwest. And we help them do that. We help them create their own blueprints. They're their possession when they get done. It still doesn't lock them into us. They're free to take those prints. If they want to go somewhere else, they can. So we try to be as helpful as we can, as informative up front. We're not looking to build 20, 30 custom homes a year anymore. We'd like to be in that 5 to 10 a year so that we can handle it with the two of us overseeing the jobs. We've been doing it for decades and decades. Both Mark and I have served on the Topeka Home Builders Board for many, many years. He's still currently on the board. I no longer am. Give us a call. We do have a website. You can look at some of our homes. I must say that we're not as good as we should be about updating all the homes we built, but PrellwitzConstruction.com, we have a website. It's got our phone numbers on there. You can contact either Mark or George from that location. If you want to set up a meeting or have us go look at something for you, we would be glad to do it.
So thank you so much, George, for coming in. I know you're busy and you guys have been building houses all over. And you guys were building recently in Lawrence, aren't you?
We are. We have a home we're almost finished with in Lawrence, and looking to do some more down there.
And if he actually said that with all the codes that Lawrence has, that means that you know what you're doing. Lawrence has the strictest codes, I believe I was told, in the nation.
They cross the T's and dot the I's on everything.
Absolutely.
But once you understand the game, know what the rules are down there, it's not a problem. To work with, they're wonderful, but they have a lot of hoops to jump through.
Absolutely. So if you're looking to buy or sell, be sure and give us a call at Realty Executives Preferred Advisors. Our number is 785-213-5188. You're welcome to check out our website. We have 4 MLSs on our website, so you can see everything from inside of Kansas City, Missouri, all the way out to Junction City. As far north as the Nebraska border, and as far south as Emporia, and possibly a little further. So you can see all of northeast Kansas. So if you're looking to build, you can find land just about anywhere. Be sure and check it out. It's nekansashomes.com. And again, be sure and check us out and give us a call at 785-213-5188, or you can shoot us an email at preferredadvisorsteam@gmail.com. Thanks for joining us on Real Estate 101.
Thank you for listening to Real Estate 101 with the Karey Brown team from Realty Executives Preferred Advisors. Tune in again next Sunday at 11 o'clock for Real Estate 101.